Hi everyone. I'm Mary from Susan's family. Today I'm going to show you a cute rabbit Hanfu Kisslock bag, the Kalama style. For this electronic tutorial, you can search susud.com on the website to check it out. This bag includes two sections, the main part and the accessories. First complete the main part, then make the accessory. The main part consists of the lower part, the upper part, and the ears, arms, and the metal frame and strap. First, complete the crocheted parts, then sew them together. Let's start with crocheting the lower part. We will start from foundation chain. Work around the foundation chain to make it clear to see. I'll demonstrate using thick yarn here. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. Now let's take a look at the chart. In the chart, our plus number represents the rounds. The stitch instructions column shows the stitches and increase or decrease situations needed for the current round. The total stitches column indicates the total stitches after completion of all stitches in the current round. There are quite a few stitches used here. All of them are indicated in the chart. Now, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. The cast on is 32ch. This means begin with the foundation chain. Cast on 32 stitches. Hold the yarn with your left hand. Hold the hook with your right hand. The slip knot at the start does not count as a stitch. Tighten it. Next, crochet 1 chain. That completes 1 chain. Continue with the yarn over. Draw through. This is the second stitch. A total of 32 stitches are needed here. Keep crocheting. Third stitch. Fourth stitch. Fifth stitch. One braid represents 1 stitch. The loop on the hook doesn't count as a stitch. Everyone continue crocheting until you reach the required number of stitches. Now I finished. That concludes the foundation chain explanation. Next, we'll work on the first round. Our one is Dow2 30x W29x V. Dow2 means starting from the second to last stitch of the foundation chain. Count back from the side of the hook. This is the second to last stitch. The number before the X indicates how many single crochets you need to make. This means you'll make 30 single crochets. Hook into the top strand of the second chain from the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. 1 single crochet completed. The braid on the upper right is the corresponding stitch. It forms a V shape with 2 strands. Continue by picking up the top strand of the left chains and making single crochets. The second single crochet is done. Work single crochets into each stitch in sequence below. Always pick up 1 strand and crochet. Keep crocheting until you reach the corresponding stitch count. The chart below shows 3 SC1. That means in the remaining chain of the foundation chain, work 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. The 3 SC1 is now completed. Let's take a look. There are 2 strands on the other side of the chains. Pick up these 2 strands and work single crochets. The single crochets on this side should be symmetrical with those on the other side. Work 2 single crochets into each chain space. Finish the corresponding stitch count as you continue downward. Place the yarn tail above the crochet hook while crocheting. Weave in the ends as you go along. Be mindful not to crochet at the very top position. After completing the corresponding number of single crochets, continue by making a SC2 on the left side. The insertion point is in the same chain space as the first stitch. In other words, work 2 single crochets here. Single crochet increase completed. This completes the corresponding stitch pattern for this round. Then finish with a slip stitch on the first stitch. Insert the hook here. And draw through and once all the loops on the hook. Slip stitch completed. The slip stitch is not noted in the chart. In practice, you should finish each round with a slip stitch. This is the braid formed by the slip stitch. The slip stitch doesn't count as one stitch. You need to tighten it to prevent crocheting too many stitches later. The first round is now completed. Now let's move on to the second round. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain for single crochet. The beginning chain does not count as a stitch. It is also not marked in the chart. Then work 1 SC2 into the first stitch. The SC2 is now completed. After completing, continue with the stitches on the left side. Crochet a single crochet into each stitch according to the corresponding number. Refer to the chart to complete. Now I have already crocheted the corresponding number of single crochets. Next, we need to work 3 SC2 in these 3 stitches on the left. That is, crochet 2 single crochets into each stitch. 1 time. 2 times. 3 times. This completes the top corner. Then continue crocheting single crochets evenly. Complete the required number of stitches on your own. Keep going until there are 2 stitches left on the left side. Now there are 2 stitches remaining. Crochet 2 SC2 in 1 into these 2 stitches. After completing, work 1 slip stitch. Pull tight. This finishes the second round. Next, let's differentiate the right and wrong sides. You can see that the right side of the fabric has a clear texture. The wrong side has a blurry texture. We will use the side with the clearer texture as the right side of the entire piece. Now let's crochet the third round. Start with a chain as your beginning chain. Then work single crochets evenly. Complete crocheting this round on your own. After completing, check if the stitch count matches the chart. Then work a slip stitch. Pull tight. That's how you finish the third round. Next, I'll show you how to count the rounds. Fold along the bottom edge. Each bump like this indicates 1 round. 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 rounds here. Now let's move on to the fourth round. Start with a chain as your beginning chain. Then work 1 single crochet. After the single crochet, work 1 SC2 in 1. Next, work the single crochets correspondingly. Continue crocheting until you complete the required number of single crochets. Now I've finished the corresponding amount of single crochets. Moving on, you'll encounter a position with parentheses. The number before the parentheses indicates how many times to repeat. First, make 1 single crochet. Then work 1 SC2 in 1. X, V, completed. Here you need to repeat the crochet pattern 3 times in total. Complete this part on your own. Now I've already crocheted 3 times. Continue working single crochets. After finishing the single crochet, you can see there are now 4 stitches remaining. We need to repeat twice. Finally, join with a slip stitch. Tighten. The 4th round is completed. The 5th and 6th rounds don't use any new stitches. Work single crochets evenly. It's the same stitch pattern as the 3rd round. Everyone continues all the way to the end of the 6th round. Now let's move on to the 7th round. The number of rounds in this sample doesn't matter for reference. It's just about explaining the method. First, make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then work 1 single crochet. Next, we encounter a new stitch, a for SC2 tog. Here, I'll demonstrate the method for the SC2 tog. First, work an unclosed single crochet. Hook into the adjacent stitch on the left. Pull through. That completes 1 unclosed single crochet. Then, insert the hook again into the same stitch on the left. Work another unclosed single crochet. The second unclosed single crochet is now done. Yarn over and draw through all 3 loops on the hook. And that completes the SC2 tog. Continue crocheting evenly with the corresponding number of single crochets. After finishing the corresponding number of single crochets, you need to work X 3 times. First, work 1 single crochet. Then, work 1 SC2 tog. Start by working 2 unclosed single crochets. Yarn over, pull through. The SC2 tog is now complete. We will complete the remaining 2. Next, refer to the chart and finish the rest of the stitches. Finally, join with a slip stitch. Tighten the yarn. That concludes the 7th round. From the 8th round to the 20th round, work the corresponding number of single crochets and SC2 tog. Follow the previous demonstrations and refer to the pattern to complete them. Now let's move on to the 21st round. I'll demonstrate the method for the 21st round using a sample. Pay attention that when crocheting normally, we start on the side closer to ourselves. Here, we need to start from the back. The stitch is located at the top left. First, make one slip stitch. Note that this slip stitch doesn't need to be tightened. And when making the first stitch, you can keep it slightly loose. This makes it easier to find the stitches later. This is the braid formed by the slip stitch. Make sure not to tighten it, otherwise, it will be difficult to pick up the stitches later. Continue crocheting 22 slip stitches using this method. For this round, only the slip stitch at the ending position needs to be tightened. The rest do not need to be tightened. This will not be repeated in the following instructions. After completing, we are now on the front part. Start with 3 slip stitches. Then, crochet 1 slip stitch at the insertion point of the single crochet on the left. Which is right here. This slip stitch corresponds to the stitch above. This also transitions the yarn to the bottom. Then continue crocheting 3 slip stitches horizontally. These 3 slip stitches correspond to the 3 stitches above. Next, you need to crochet another slip stitch to move down. This will transition to the next round. Again, at the insertion point of the single crochet on the left side. After crocheting, work 6 more slip stitches horizontally. This is where the chin will be. You can see that it forms a curve here. Next, you need to crochet symmetrically. Find the stitch position in the upper left. Crochet 1 slip stitch. The insertion position is on the upper left. After finishing, continue crocheting 3 slip stitches horizontally. Below that, there's another slip stitch for transition. The entry position is on the upper left. After crocheting, continue with 3 more slip stitches horizontally. Here, pick up the stitch and crochet slip stitches. There's now only 1 stitch remaining. Crochet 1 slip stitch. Finally, connect with the first slip stitch. Pull the slip stitch tight. Round 21 is now completed. Up to this point, the explanation for the lower part is finished. Next, we'll crochet the upper part. For the upper part, there's no need to break the yarn. Below, let's start crocheting the first round. This round continues to be crocheted at the front of the fabric. In this round, you need to pick up the chains from the slip stitches and crochet. First, make 1 chain to start. Then, crochet 1 SC2 in 1 on the first chain. It's right here. When picking up strands, be mindful not to pick the wrong one. After completing it, continue with another SC2 in 1. Similarly, pick the chains from the previous round's slip stitches. After crocheting 2 SC2 in 1, continue with 2 single crochets. One SC2 in 1. Fourteen single crochets. While crocheting, follow the braid formed by the slip stitches. Look everyone, this is what it looks like after completing 14 single crochets. Later on, you can refer to the pattern, follow the braid from the slip stitches, and complete all the remaining stitches in this round. End with 1 SC 2-in-1. That's how you finish the first round. For the 2nd to 7th rounds, simply build upon the first round. Just continue to follow the chart and crochet upwards to finish. Now let's work on the 8th round. I'll demonstrate again using a sample. First, make 1 chain as the beginning chain. Next, you need to crochet 3 slip stitches. Again, there's no need to tighten these slip stitches. After completing the 3 slip stitches, continue with the corresponding number of single crochets. Once you've finished the corresponding number of single crochets, it's time for another 3 slip stitches. You also don't need to tighten it. Next, continue referring to the pattern and finish this round. Finally, join with the first slip stitch and tighten. That completes the 8th round. Now let's move on to the 9th row. Below, you'll need to crochet back and forth. The 3 slip stitches at both ends serve as boundaries. The area that needs crocheting is the position of the middle single crochets. First, stretch the loop. Thread the ball of yarn through the loop. Slightly tighten it. Then find the first single crochet on the right side of the upper part. Right here. Pull the yarn through. Don't pull the yarn too tight here. Start with one chain as your beginning chain. Then work a SC2 tog. Hook into the first single crochet stitch. Continue with an unclosed single crochet. Pull through all loops at once. One SC2 tog completed. Continue crocheting single crochets downwards. After completing the corresponding number of single crochets, end the 9th row with a SC2 tog. Now let's start the 10th row. Similarly, to keep the texture consistent, you need to carry the yarn across. Enlarge the loop. Pass the ball of yarn through the loop. Slightly tighten. Find the first stitch. Draw the yarn through. Make sure not to pull the yarn too tight here. Then, chain 1 as beginning chain. This row need to work single crochets evenly. Please crochet this row on your own. Tidy up the yarn while crocheting. That's how you finish the 10th row. After finishing the 10th row, let's start crocheting the 11th row now. Enlarge the loop and carry the yarn across. Similarly, find the first stitch of the previous row. Pull the yarn through. Chain 1 to begin. Start with a SC2 tog. Weave in the yarn into the stitches while crocheting. Work single crochets evenly. End with a SC2 tog on the last stitch. Make sure not to miss any stitches while crocheting. After finishing, you can check the stitch count. This completes row 11. For rows 12 through 15, the method is similar to row 11. Decrease at the beginning and ending. Crochet the corresponding number of single crochets in the middle. You'll need to carry the yarn across during the process. Please complete row 15 on your own. Everyone, take a look. This is what it looks like after completing 15 rows. Now let's move on to row 16. Start by carrying the yarn across. Begin with 1 chain as the starting stitch. Then work 2 SC2 tog. After that, crochet 4 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then work another 2 SC2 togs. 1, 2. Row 16 is now completed. Secure with a chain. Break the yarn. Since the wrong side will be used as the outer side later, weave in the yarn tail on the right side. Now let's work on row 17. This row involves crocheting single crochets around the outer edge. Locate the joining point from row 9. It's right here. We'll start joining the yarn here. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. Make 1 beginning chain. Then work 1 single crochet in the same stitch. Pay attention to weaving in the ends while crocheting. Next, pick up the boundary of each row of single crochets and work a single crochet. There's no specific requirement for the insertion position here, just keep the fabric flat. Now we've reached the corner. Here you need to work 2 single crochets. Then pick up each stitch and work single crochets in sequence. Similarly, at the corner on the left side, you also need to work 2 single crochets. Next, continue picking up the junction of each row, and work single crochets one by one. Keep going until you reach the DC2 tog of the lower left corner. Now I've reached the corresponding position. Then make 1 beginning chain. Turn the piece over. Work single crochets into each stitch. Complete this row on your own. Secure the last stitch with 1 chain. Break the yarn. Weave in the yarn tail on the right side in the same way. That's how you complete one of the pieces. The crocheting method for the other half piece is identical to rows 9 through 18. Here, I'll demonstrate the joining yarn method on the remaining part of the fabric. Locate the position of the first single crochet on the far right here. Right here. We'll start joining the yarn from this point. Pull the yarn through. Make 1 beginning chain. Then start with the SC2 tog. Pay attention to weaving in the ends while crocheting. Continue following the previous crocheting method. Crochet this half piece in the same way. Up to this point, the entire upper part has been fully explained. After crocheting everything, turn the fabric so the wrong side is facing out. Trim all the yarn tails neatly. Next, let's make the ears. There are 2 ears. Use the magic ring method and crochet in rounds. Below, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Start with a magic ring. To make it clear to see, I will still use thicker yarn for the demonstration. The color is random. First, the beginning is magic ring. This means the method for casting on is the magic ring. Pick up the yarn with your right hand. Start the cast on. That's it for the beginning. Below, crochet the first round. Work one chain as the starting chain for the single crochet, then start crocheting the single crochets. Hook into the magic ring. One single crochet is completed. In the first round, you need to crochet a total of 6 single crochets. Continue crocheting the remaining single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The stitch pattern corresponding to the chart is now complete. After that, close the magic ring. There are 2 loops in total. First, gently pull the starting tail of the yarn. One loop will be loose. Tighten the loose loop. There is 1 loop left. Pull the yarn tail tight directly. The loop is now closed. Next, slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch of this round. Finish with a slip stitch. Tighten it. The first round is complete. Now let's crochet the second round. In this round, you need to work 6 SC2-in-1 into the corresponding stitches. While crocheting, place the starting tail of the yarn above the hook, and weave it in as you go. Complete this part on your own. End with a slip stitch. Pull tight. That completes the second round. You can now cut off the starting tail of the yarn. The crocheting method for the remaining rounds is similar to the main part. It involves working single crochets, SC2-in-1, and SC2 tog into corresponding stitches. When you encounter a stitch symbol, look at the number in front of it. Work the corresponding stitch as many times as the number indicates. When you see parentheses, repeat the stitches within the parentheses as indicated. Everyone can follow this method to complete the remaining rounds. Here, I'll demonstrate the final yarn fastening method with a sample. The number of rounds here is not meant for reference. After completing the last round, pull the slip stitch tight. Secure the last stitch with a chain. Then leave about 30 centimeters of yarn tail before cutting the yarn. That concludes one ear. Complete the other ear using the same method. After finishing the ears, let's move on to making the arms. Take a look at the finished product. There are 2 arms, both crocheted in rounds starting with a magic ring. The crocheting method is similar to that of the ears. Everyone, refer to the pattern and crochet accordingly. After finishing, break the yarn. Weave in the ends. Next, sew on the metal frame. Attach the metal frame above the head's opening. The metal frame has these kinds of holes. The side with the pattern is the right side. The other side is the wrong side. When sewing, make sure the wrong side of the metal frame faces outward. Place it at the head's opening. Put the edge of the fabric inside the metal frame. At the centered position on both sides of the head, match it with the connecting points on both sides of the metal frame. To make sewing more convenient, you can secure the 2 sides first. Then, fix the front and back as well, while securing. Try to tuck the last round of the fabric into the metal frame. Everyone, use this method to secure everything properly. The centered positions on both sides must correspond. This prevents the metal frame from being misaligned with the body. Now, the metal frame and fabric are secured. Next, let's start sewing. Take the corresponding yarn. Cut a piece of yarn, about 7 times the circumference of the metal frame. Fold it in half and use it that way. Tie a knot at the end. Then, start sewing using the backstitch method. The sewing method for the front and back of the metal frame is the same. I'll start with any side as an example. Insert the needle from the back through the first hole of the metal frame. Leave a little yarn tail here. Then, insert it into the hole on the left side. Pay attention to ensure the fabric is properly tucked in. And pass through the previously left yarn tail. This secures the thread in place. After completing, hook into the fabric from the left side. Come out through the next hole. Then go back and hook into the previous hole. Pull tight. This way, you've sewn another segment. Continue by coming out through the hole on the left side of this segment. Mind not to skip the fabric. Then, Insert it into the hole on the right side. Pull tight. This way, you've sewn another line segment. This back and forth sewing method is called backstitching. Continue sewing downward following this method. Pay attention to adjust the position while sewing. Make sure the fabric is evenly distributed. Avoid any shifting or misalignment. When you reach a securing spot, you can remove the securing thread. Everyone, continue sewing downward. When you reach the interval between fabrics, remove the securing thread first. There's no need to sew here. Carry the yarn across through the inside of the fabric, and bring it to the position of the other side of the metal frame. Tidy up the fabric. Exit from the right side of the opening. Continue picking holes and sewing short segments. The sewing method going downward is the same as before. Everyone, sew this side together on your own. Finally, weave in the ends. Everyone, take a look. This is what it looks like after completing the opening sew. Remove the securing thread. Neaten up the shape. That's it for the explanation of how to install the metal frame.